This is a very simple percentages question. Many of you are able to do this in your head because the percentage we're being asked for is very close to 10%, right? It's 20, but that's doubling whatever 10% is, and taking 10% of a number should be very simple. You just move the decimal place. So what is 10% of 440? It's 44, right? 10% would be 44, so double that to get 20%, and we get 88. So a lot of you are gonna be able to do this in your head. That's totally fine, but I'm gonna use it as an opportunity to show you two things. Number one, some basic percentage things can be done in the calculator literally just by typing what you're given. So in this case, if I just typed 20% of 440 into my Desmos calculator, it just gives it to you. In fact, it kind of prompts you to use the of there. It's kind of weird the way it does it, so it gives us the 88. There are other ways to use that feature. You can sometimes replace the 20 with an X and see how that works. And we can use the Desmos solving features to our advantage here. But a lot of percentage things are not going to be solvable using the calculator, at least not in this way where it's just kind of giving you the answer. And that's why I recommend being very comfortable with the open formula, which I have a whole lesson on, is how I work with percentages, because they have become some of the most tricky questions on the SAT. So in this case, we would use the basic open formula, the one that looks like the word open, right? So there you go. The E is the equals, but there it is. Looks like the word open. And we're always going to have two of the three pieces, right? So the O stands for the original number, and we sometimes can be very aware of what the original number is because they use the word of. So that is also a way of remembering the O. It's pointing us, the of is pointing us to the original value. So that's the 440. The P is the percentage. We write that in this equation though as a decimal. So what is 20% as a decimal? It is 0.20. And then the N stands for the new value. That's what we're trying to find, right? That's the what is. So I can just leave it as an N, and there you go. And notice we end up kind of doing the exact same thing. We're multiplying. In this case, you might just go with a calculator like this, but we would get the same thing. We would get 88 is equal to the new value. So in this case, yeah, the formula feels a little cumbersome, right? Why do we need that if it's so easy to do the mental math here? Well, it's for those harder questions that I'm thinking about, the ones where the mental math won't be possible. Maybe the percentage will be too weird. Maybe they'll give you things kind of in a reverse order. So the benefit of using an equation every time is that when they do make it harder, you are just still doing the same move. You're just saying, okay, I have an equation. Let me plug points into equations. Which pieces of this thing do I have? Because they're not always going to give you the pieces that you most want. They'll give you other things and make you solve it using kind of like some backwards math. But the formula prevents any issues whatsoever.